Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're just going to do the same velocity banking review as yesterday, believe it or not. And I honestly make the same videos over and over again. In fact, I warned you about this. That's why I told you don't click this video. It's just the same old rapid debt payoff trick over and over again. And then I think I put like a little clickbait hook on the thumbnail. I think I did, right? And the reason I talk about this is because society in general does not value people who practice things over and over again. And this is why we live in a world just full of amateurs. I don't know if you knew that or not. I remember watching the car sales guru Andy Elliott, and I really liked some of his videos that I've watched where he talks about people are sick and tired of amateurs, right? And so am I. That's why I make the same video over and over again. And so when I make a title like "Don't click this video," it's actually meant to discourage the amateurs. The ones who need new content over and over again, rather than practicing the same content over again, which is what I do in this channel. Okay, so what I do in this channel. So let's go ahead and get started. Velocity banking, what is it? It's a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt. And we're in a pretty good position right here where income is $8,700, $5,617 of expenses, and then 3,000 left over in savings. So you know, someone might be thinking, should I purchase real estate at this time to grow my wealth? And the answer to that is it depends, right? um, I'm always of the feeling that anytime you deal with any kind of, let's say, rental or sort of like a passive income, you shouldn't completely depend on it. Like you should be okay, like if the tenant doesn't pay you rent, for example, right? Or you should be in a good position. And I think in this position, we're pretty good. So let's say we do something stupid, like start an Airbnb when you see hundreds of Airbnb bust videos, right? You ever see those? In fact, let me just do this right here, right? Do this right here, and then Airbnb bust, right? Collapse of short-term rentals, and you think, "Hey, you know what? I've watched these, videos with millions of views, and I might go ahead and start a short-term rental." So, as long as we can cover the risk, I think we're okay. And so, because it is a risk, because you do have to spend money not only getting the property if you're not using Airbnb arbitrage. I'm not a big fan of Airbnb arbitrage because what is that? You're just let's say leasing the property from the property owner and then operating Airbnb. And I'd rather just build equity. I'd rather just buy the property. You know what I'm saying? So what this is what we're gonna do is that we're gonna spend some money getting a mortgage, $200,000 at 8%. And so let's put this in our expenses. And then we'll say that our Airbnb expenses a month is about 1,500. And then also, we're going to spend about maybe go crazy, like, go all out, and this is like 119,000 dollars in Airbnb, right? So I'm going to go ahead and sum this up. And this is $119,000, right? So it's going to be, yeah, $119,000 of, let's say we didn't have any credit cards. We didn't have any credit cards and we decided to spend $119,000 making it the best Airbnb possible, right? I mean, it's not ideal, but at least you're spending it to have an income generating asset, hopefully, and it's not part of the bust where you're not getting any bookings, right? um yeah, so let's go ahead and do this. And so when we do velocity banking, it's the same income and the same expenses, but the most important part is that um we're not saving any money because we're focusing off of paying all of our debt with our income, right? And so now here's the thing. Last step is I didn't include the Airbnb income because that's going to be dependent on your local market and area, right? And you know what? I started an Airbnb and take a look at this $5,000 in July. Where did that come from? $4,000 in August. Interesting. And then, where'd it go? $5,000 in July, $4,000 in August, and then someone is actually spending 12.9 grand after Airbnb fees for about 3 months. So that's way better than the long-term rental rates that I had, which was 2050 a month. 2050 a month, folks. That's insane. 2050 a month. And if you want to see the rent check that I initially got from a long-term rental, this was it. $14,350, right? So, lots of stuff going on here. And if you don't know who I am, just a quick summary of myself. I paid off a mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. And yeah, that's me. Mortgage paid off in 2 years and 9 months. So, let's go ahead and get started here. And I'm going to do this and reset a lot of things, right? So these are all our amortized loans. So let's go back to the velocity banking portion. So how much should I put on the Airbnb income? Because if you take a look at this trend right here, we started in June and then July, it's about 5.4 grand. And because we have a longer stay tenant, we have 4 grand. So that's pretty sweet. 5.4 grand. And again, this could be seasonal income because maybe in certain months it could dry up. We started in June, but I had no idea that I could, like, literally double the revenue, more than double it, by turning into a short-term rental. I was like, "Whoa, I don't need an extra house. I could just optimize my one little rental property on a farm that I like visiting with 2 acres." So, let's go ahead and go back, here, right? So what's our Airbnb income? Should I put it 4,500? Let's make it 4,500. And so if we do traditional banking, our savings becomes $774.81. Now, let's do it, move it here to $4,500. Again, same income, personal income, Airbnb income. This is what we call our side hustle income. And actually, let me do this. C2 plus C3, my bad, minus our expenses, which is C4, right? And so our goal is to increase this cash flow number. And what we did is we spent more than $100,000 setting up the Airbnb. I know it's not ideal. We probably overspent too much, but what if we went all crazy on just one house? Well, here's the thing. The nicer you make it, obviously, the more you'll attract good tenants and you'll have people book faster. And if you don't have too much supply in your area, it's probably easier, right? Like, you look at Joshua Tree, San Bernardino County. I call it the pimple map because there's so many like short-term rentals in that area. And then I look at my map as like, AirDNA says like there's no bookings there. And so that could be a good thing because it's like, whoa, like nobody has a short-term rental here. So there's a lot of supply, or there's little supply, I mean. So if there's moderate demand and little supply, that's where you want to go ahead and be a crack dealer. No, an Airbnb host. I'm sorry. All right, so let's go ahead and do this right here, and then so we're gonna do this. This is our income, and then let's go ahead and consolidate some of our debts, and we're gonna assume we have a free and clear line of credit. So what's a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So this is my home equity line of credit for $373,500 limits, right? $373,500 home equity line of credit limit. So it literally means I could click a button on the bank's website and dump up to $373,000 in an instant, in a blink of an eye, right? And then we can make the debt, or make our cash flow increase with the snap, okay? And I have personally over $711,000 in lines of credit. $711,000. And here's the secret of getting all these lines of credit. And this is my new $14,000 credit card. I might add a new $20,000 personal line of credit in the mix here. I haven't been fully approved, but we'll see where it goes with that. Okay. But banks don't lend money to people who need it. That's literally the secret of banking. Okay? That's literally how you get credit. And so as long as you know that, then you should be good to go. But a lot of people, they don't want to hear that. They don't wanna hear that. But let's just assume that we did have a free and clear line of credit. Again, that's 119,119,000. And then what we do is we set the credit cards to 0 because we just simply did a balance transfer. Whoopsie, not the card loan, right? And then we literally went from $774.81 to $4,614.81. So we're able to increase that cash flow number to 4,000. Okay. And then this is what we're going to do. So I2 plus 1, and then it's going to be G2 plus H2 minus, oopsie, G2 plus H2 minus our cash flow number, which is 4614.81. And then we take the interest, which is based on the average daily balance, multiply by the interest rate, and then you divide by 12, right? So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste here. And then I'm going to just do this. And I'm going to just do this. And then how long did it take for us to pay off the Airbnb fees setup? The 119,000, 29 months. Pretty good, right? Always want to spend debt to get an income generating asset. Do you not? And then, because this is technically none of your own money, I think that's an infinite return if I'm not mistaken. Might be wrong on that one. All right, so 119K, and then I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste, right? And then now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more loans because we got the Airbnb mortgage, okay? And so let's go ahead and focus on these loans in 39 months, 39 months. So 39, 39, 39, 39, 39. Okay. And then what we're going to do is use something called the cash flow index to determine which debts to pay off. So the lower the number, that's the one you want to pay off. So I'm going to do this right here. And I'm going to do this right here. So 17 grand. 17 grand. And then I'm going to do this right here. And then this would be 17723.98. So we're moving 2 cars into the line of credit. Okay, car loan 1 and car loan 2, 00. And then that's an extra $600 into the cash flow, I think. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. And where are we now? And I'm going to do this and then increase our cash flow. So this is going to be 549.5.96. Okay. And then I'm going to do this. And here's the thing. I've actually heard statistics that most people usually spend about 20,000 setting up their Airbnb. So if you spent like 119, that's pretty crazy. But maybe it's because like it's different from a single family house versus like an apartment, right? But I heard if you just do Airbnb arbitrage, it takes about 20 grand to set up the place. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. And then, yeah, so now we did the 2 cars, so that gets paid off in 2 months. So this is going to be 32 months. And then this is going to be 30 plus 30 plus 17 plus 119. And then it's going to be 166K. All right. And then, all right. So now the student loan is going to we're going to have to pay that off, and that's 32 months. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Wait, not 32. I screwed up. It's, wait, 39 months? Did I screw up? Let me see this. Where did I put 39? Oh, it's 29. My bad. It's 29. Okay. See, I screw up too. Anyway, so let's go ahead and do this. And then I'm going to do this. 25. And yeah, it'll probably almost be the same thing. So plus 256 is 2.78. Okay. And then, yeah, that's our new cash flow. And we paid it off in 5 months. Okay. There we go. That makes more sense. All right, so in 34 months, we paid it off. So this is going to be 34, 34, and then this is going to be, where are we at? This would be 34. So 0, 0, 0, 34, 34, 34. Let's tackle on that student loan of 94 grand. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. And then so it'll be plus 94011.13. And then this is going to be 0. And that's going to be 6.8 grand, right? 6.8 grand. All right, sure. All right. So we got that. We sure do. And then what we're going to do right here is I'm going to do this 6889.26. All right, so now this is 48 months, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. And so 48 months, it's all paid off. And okay, so, and then this is going to be here. So 48 months and 166 plus 120, and then 286K. And all right, so now let's go ahead and do this right here. So 48 months, and then, so let me just do this right here, 48 months. So 0, 48, 48. And then now we have the Airbnb mortgage. The interest rate's similar enough. We could put in the line of credit. Let's go ahead and move it into the line of credit. So be this one right here. And here's the number one rule about buying real estate, okay? You need to buy it at a discount. So if you take a look here, scroll down here, you see that you buy a $300,000 property at a $100,000 discount. You need to buy a $200,000 property at $100,000 or at for $100,000 and probably a $100,000 property at like 10,000, right? Funny how that works, but you need to buy it at a discount. That's how you make the money in real estate, not in not when you sell. You make it when you buy. So you got to buy it at a discount. And then let's just go right here and I'll just move this Airbnb mortgage into the line. Although it's not necessarily the smartest idea. I don't think it is, because my understanding, again, I'm not an accountant, is that a mortgage interest it's easier to deduct that compared to a line of credit HELOC interest. What's a 192.8.08? And then what do we do here? We got 1,400 of cash flow back. And then, so now we got 8 grand. It's pretty sweet, right? So let me go back here. And then I'm going to do this right here. And then do 8356.79. And then, all right, so now we see that once we start focusing on that Airbnb mortgage, it's gone in 73 months. So 73 months is when the Airbnb mortgage is gone. 73 months. And how much was that? It's about 200,000. So it'll be 486K. Okay. And then in the now it's time to tackle on that personal mortgage, or heck, we could get another Airbnb. Another 5 grand a month in revenue wouldn't be too bad, right? Yeah. I honestly can't believe this, and this is why I kind of feel like a moron, because like, man, I should have done this like 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, instead of getting like a $2,000 month of rent, and I don't know if you know how single family rentals work, you only get $200 of cash flow. It's like, all right, the management is not as active as I thought it would be. It's not that hard, right? Like, I honestly think a long-term rental might be harder, because the when you have a long-term tenant, the tenant is much more likely to damage the property. This is what every cleaner has told me. Like, hey, if I go into Airbnb, the property is relatively clean because you always have to clean it between each stay. Whereas with a long-term tenant, they just kind of get lazy, you know? So it's not a bad trade-off for the more active management. So let's go ahead and go back here. So this is, what month are we at? So 0 month 73. Okay. And then let's take a bite out of this mortgage. All right. And I think I did this here. Okay. Hold on. What's my income? Let me copy and paste this. This would be 13200.09. How does this '09 come in? You're like, probably is some sort of cut off decimal point, but that's kind of weird. So I'll just say 13200, and the expenses, I think it's right. So expenses is everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off. So $4,000. Um, if you're an Airbnb operator, like, what are your expenses? Because I'm just kind of guessing here because I'm just like 1 month in. You know what I mean? Like, I barely started this in June. It's going to turn July, and we're barely 1 month in. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then, yeah. Ba 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 ba. All right. So this is going to be 0? No, it's not gonna be 0. It's gonna be 0 after 1.6 years. Man, that payoff is so sweet. So this is 0. Pay off a mortgage in 1.6 years. And 1.6 divide by 12 or divide by 4.48. Divide by 12 plus 1.6, and then that's gonna be 5.6 years. 5.6 years, we are completely debt-free. Completely debt-free. 5.6 years. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Either I did this wrong, but this is an insane amount of cash flow a month, I think, right? It's not your income, it's your gross income, it's all expenses paid. Wow. Net operating income, I believe that's what they call it. All right, so that's it for today, folks. This is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Have a great day, and I will see you all on the next video.